Woo! And after probably the biggest, or the busiest, I should say, weekend of my life last weekend, I have now made it to the following weekend, and I have another project that I am gonna be working on, and so I haven't had any time to make a video. So today, I want to tell you about the camera gear that I've been using to make these videos, and also what I've been using to do some of my professional work. Now, I have two kits. I have a photography kit, and then I also have my video kit. And both of these are actually separate. I have a few things I still need to get, but I am refining them project by project. And I'm pretty excited to share with you because I released a video like this probably in like last July or August. And my gear has completely changed almost, at least to what I'm using to shoot my photos, videos, etc. But last weekend I had a chance to record and edit the 2025 commencement video for the college that I work for, and that was really fun. Here's a little, I think I have a clip of me, maybe that somebody else recorded, but I'm unsure, so I will scrub my footage. If I have it, I will put it right here. I hope I found a clip. This coming weekend, I'm going to be shooting some behind the scenes content and some things for another brand called Move 365 during the Pittsburgh Marathon. So it's like motivational content, that kind of stuff. So they were looking for a videographer or a content person in Pittsburgh because that's where we are. And I had worked with them in the past through some things at my job, and they reached out to do this project. I took the job mostly because next weekend Carly and I are headed off to Cleveland, and I just wanted a little bit extra money to play around with whenever we got there. But we will talk about Cleveland when we go to Cleveland. What I would like to talk about today is my camera gear, because it is a lot of stuff. Some might even say too much stuff, but not me. I love camera gear. I love gear. I love, you know what? Let's just do it. So this channel was kind of built on the back of photography, as I was going back to school for photos and I was doing a lot of photography based projects at the time. And it's kind of shifted into this more vloggy, behind the scenes of my life type of channel, but my roots are in photography. And so I think it's only fitting that I start here and I tell you about the gear that I'm currently using to take, I would say 90% of my photos. I use probably all of my cameras to take pictures from time to time, but for the most part, if I'm gonna do a photo project, I'm picking up one of these cameras. But we'll get into all of the film stuff later, because that's kind of gonna be its own topic of discussion for another video. But let's talk about it. So if you have been following me since I started going back to school, you would know that I just finished my senior thesis project. And with that, I have this camera right here, my Canon EOS RP, which is a slightly older camera now. I would say by most people's standards, it's not the quote-unquote best camera in the world. But I found for my use cases and what I do, this thing is fantastic. And there's a couple lenses that I switch between, and I wish I had a zoom lens for this thing, like a 24-70, but you know, I just have to pick and choose where my money gets spent for these rigs. And honestly, I can do everything I need to do currently photography-wise with my primes, so that's just what I've been using. So to go into detail, my most used lens is probably the 50mm. Now, I have it attached. This is actually the EF version of the 50mm, and this is the EF to RF mount. I actually use this for most of my shoots, mostly because it's all native. So when I put this on and put an EF lens on it, the autofocus works perfectly. So I use this with the 50mm. I also have an 85mm 1.8 that's also an EF lens that I use from time to time, mostly for headshots or close-ups. I have a 70D that's broken that I kind of used for a really long time. That I used these on, but my next addition was this Pancake 28mm lens. And the reason I purchased this was because I wanted something a little bit wider, and I also wanted something to kind of bridge the gap, I should say. I wanted something that I could use to take wide-ish photos, but I didn't need anything crazy. I wasn't gonna vlog on this thing. This was all for photography, and I wanted something light that could fit in my bag that could complement these larger prime lenses. And I've had no issues with this 28mm lens. It's actually been incredible. The focus is great. It's super sharp, and it does exactly what I needed to do. But I actually haven't been taking that many pictures, and I would love to take more photos with this. I think the last set of pictures I actually took with this camera, were the photos of Carly that I posted on Instagram when I was soft launching this other thing I really wanted to do. But that's neither here nor there. I have one more camera that I bought specifically for photography that I probably use more than my Canon, and that is my Fujifilm X-T10. Now, this camera is my quote-unquote everyday camera. I got the TD Artisan 27mm 2.8, which comes out to be about a 40mm on this crop sensor body. So you can see, if I can find the freaking thing, it's a little crop sensor body. This camera is also pretty old, but it has the film simulations that I like. I shoot JPEGs mostly on this thing. And it's the camera that I go for when I know I want to take some photos, or I know I want something slightly smaller to bring with me, but I know that I'm not necessarily super excited about carrying around a large lens. So, actually haven't used this camera for a couple of months, sadly, mostly because it's been so cold in Pittsburgh, and whenever you go outside in the cold, and you can't really use your fingers for much because it's so cold, and this winter was crazy. It just makes using a camera like this so difficult. So it's finally going to come out of retirement, or I'm going to take it off the bench, and I'm probably going to start using it more in the city. Maybe resume a few photo projects I was trying to do with it, or just document my life when I'm not doing something for video. I'm going to probably pick up this camera and play around with it. But as it stands right now, I'm looking at my non-existent watch like it matters. It's going on about 1:30, and I have to prep and head down to the city for a meeting for the project that I'm doing tomorrow. So why don't I catch back up with you later today, and while I pack my bag and kind of get ready for the project that I'm going to be doing tomorrow, I can talk to you guys a little bit about the gear that I use for video, because I think it's probably more important to you guys watching what gear I'm using for these videos, which I'll talk about. But it's also important for me to chat a little bit about my professional equipment, like my gimbal or my camera rig or any of that nature. So let me go do that, and then once that happens, I'll come back and then we can chat about my video rig. Carly hates when I say rig, so I'm hoping she hears this a few times. So before we leave, I got these ND filters and this wide angle lens adapter for the Pocket 3. So this is the normal, no ND filter, and it's also the 20mm. And then I have this ND16 with the wide angle adapter. So if I point outside like this, and then I put that on, you can see it widens my field of view, and it also kind of protects the highlights out there, but I'll just show you. Let me show you here. So now when I point it outside, it's a little bit not bright. It's fine. It does its job. I don't really like the distortion that the wide angle adapter gives, but I can hold it to my face a lot closer, and it makes it way easier for me. But we're going to the city, so I want to bring this with me. I don't know if I'm gonna bring the wide angle adapter. I might just bring all of it. I haven't decided yet. Let's go. Oh, chilies. Okay, so when it comes to my video gear, my main camera, which is what I'm shooting on right now, is my A6700. Now this camera is like absolutely incredible. I use it consistently. I got it a couple of months ago, and ever since then it's been like my daily driver camera. I 9 times out of 10 have my Tokina 11 to 18 millimeter on it. The only other lens that I use primarily is my Sigma 18 to 50, depending on the project. Now, I feel like I want to keep this video kind of centric on the gear that I use most regularly, and so I don't think I'm going to talk about the gimbal I use, and I don't think I'm going to talk about a bunch of my camera bodies because some of them are only for specific things, but I have my 4 most used cameras in front of me, technically 5 if you count my ZV-E10 that I use for my streaming camera now, but that's not here nor there. So this is probably my second most used camera behind my A6700, and that is my Sony A7C in my small rig cage that I purchased recently. Now, the biggest limitation and the reason I ended up purchasing this camera and another camera that I'll talk about here in a moment is this is only an 8-bit camera. Now, to not go too far into the logistics of what 8 and 10-bit is, essentially the sensor of this camera cannot read as many colors as this sensor, so color grading can kind of be a problem. But I want to stop looking at my gear as limitations, and I want to start using the gear I own, so I decided to get a cage for this, rig it out, and just use it and just see what I can make with it. And I need to know the limitations of the gear that I currently own, because I can't continuously just go out and buy new things every single time I need something new. So the A7C is going to get used. I have a Tamron 20 to 75, like it's like the most basic like newcomer kit you can get, but you know what, honestly it's very useful. It's my most hybrid camera. I do a lot of photo and video with this thing, and it's just great, really good in low light. And it's a great B camera to my current A camera, which is this. I do plan eventually to replace this with the ZV-E1. I think it's the perfect camera for me because my Sony kit has been primarily video, and I think it makes the most sense to replace my current crop factor camera, my A cam, with a beast of a camera for video, keep the A7C for some photo work, and then just have the ZV-E1 and the A6700, and then eventually get the FX30 and replace that out with this for my B cam, and then eventually get the FX3 and then replace that out for the ZV-E1. I have a whole plan, but it's going to be step by step by step by step by step. So now that I've covered my Sony kit, which I would say are my A and B cam, the cameras I use the most for video, there is a camera that I use sometimes that I've actually used on this channel in the past, and that is my Lumix G100, this tiny little micro 4/3 camera. Now there are a slew of things I dislike about this camera. The fact that it doesn't have in-body stabilization, it doesn't really have a grip for my hand, it's a micro 4/3 camera, so it can only let in so much light. It only does 8-bit color, and it has a tiny battery. So I think it's the compactness and the size that keeps me coming back to it. I've thought about replacing this with like the Lumix G9 or something that's micro 4/3 and small and can take small lenses, but still has okay-ish autofocus, because the next camera I'm going to be talking about has god-awful autofocus, and it's the reason why it's hard for me to use it as a run and gun camera. But I'm going to be bringing this Lumix G100 with me tomorrow to shoot some of the marathon event, because I have a feeling that it might come in handy, and I just want to see what I can accomplish with it, especially because it can shoot Vlog L even though it is only 8-bit. I just want to see what I can do. I've used it in the past, but I've never used it with ND filters before. So I think this will be a good test to see if when I'm working on another project that will happen in a few months, if it will be a worthwhile camera to bring or if I'm going to have to use something else. And my second to last camera that I really want to talk about in this video is my Lumix GH5, which I would say is probably my most cinema quality camera at the moment. Now it is only micro four thirds, but it has crazy image stabilization, and it has a full-size HDMI port, a dual SD card slots, and for what I want to use it for, it works great. As a sit-down interview camera, this thing's incredible, but the thing that it's not so good at is run and gun style videography, mostly because I don't want to have to be manually focusing constantly. I think for some things, manually focusing is great, but I don't have a slew of cinema lenses to take advantage of manually focusing well, because everything I have is focused by wire and it's not great to use that way. And if I'm being honest with you, when I'm out shooting an event or doing run and gun style videography, having autofocus is a tool that I just can't give up fully. This camera is great and I love it, and its point focus is really nice and it shoots like incredible video. I mean, the video off this thing is crazy good, but for what I'm trying to do with my run and gun setup, it just doesn't work. At least for me, it doesn't work that well. So realistically, that's the whole reason I got the cage for my A7C. I'm trying to swap this for my run and gun setup and then retool this camera to be used for something else. Most likely probably for all of my interviews. This will be my interview A cam and something else will be my interview B cam, whether that's this camera or something else. Sit down interviews, I should say. Not run and gun interviews or anything like that, but I have to figure out where all of these pieces fit into the puzzle because I have so many cameras and so much gear that it makes it really hard for me to choose sometimes. I have one more camera that I want to talk about. Obviously, you saw it in the last video, and I just want to mention it a little bit because I've been using it a little bit more, and it's like amazing. So I actually kind of lied. I have 3 cameras I want to talk about, and I will end with the pocket camera because I think it deserves its own little moment in space. So the first thing I want to talk about is Carly's Canon G7X. This thing I've used on a bunch of videos on this channel. It's such a fun little camera to bring out. Nobody's afraid of it. It looks like a little point and shoot. It's so much smaller than like my A7C, like just in size, that it's just incredible. And I actually purchased this old CCD Lumix or Panasonic Lumix point and shoot camera that I need to buy some batteries for before I can even test it out. But I'm thinking that this might even be able to take the place of this, depending on the quality and if it even works, because I haven't even tried turning it on yet. So I have no idea if it will even do what I want it to do, but if this thing does work, I'm gonna be really excited about it. And the final thing, which I used a little bit today that I want to talk about, is my Osmo Pocket 3, a camera that literally every single person on the planet owns right now, I think. This camera is like insane. I don't know what it is about it. It shoots 10-bit video. It has a 20mm lens, so it's really wide. It's great for vlogging. And I have this idea that next weekend, whenever I go to Cleveland, I'm just going to bring this camera and maybe this one. Sorry for hitting the camera. And maybe this one to this trip and just see what I make with these 2 tools and leave my bigger cameras at home and just try to be more in the moment with Carly and have a fun trip and just bring something small and light and not have to focus so heavily on these bigger camera rigs. But I think that's a testament to how great this camera really is for me, that I feel comfortable enough bringing this thing around and I can use it in an environment where I before would have only wanted to bring this or my A7C or something similar to it. So I think there's something to be said about a small camera that can take the place of my larger camera whenever I don't feel like bringing it around with me. So, I mean, I have a slew of other things like filters for the Pocket and filters for like ND filters, and I have a gimbal, and I have a rig for these things, and I have lights. Like, this is my newer Vision flash I use for my photography, and I have like gear on gear on gear on gear on gear. And while I would love to go into detail for everything, I think I have too much to just like talk, because I could talk like legitimately forever. And I don't think that's necessarily what I want to do, and I don't think it's necessarily what you want me to do either. I would prefer not to ramble on for the rest of eternity. So I am gonna go to bed, or I'm gonna prep all this, and then I'll be off to this fun shoot tomorrow. I may or may not bring the Pocket camera as a BTS camera, and allow Carly and myself to record a little BTS throughout the day. Maybe we'll just use our phones to gather some footage throughout the day. I have yet to decide. But if anything, after this, you'll see a little montage maybe of us getting ready and doing stuff, and then a little montage of shots for the day. I'm going to try to interject a little bit with the Pocket and talk about the experience and how the day is going. And then tomorrow, I want to discuss with you just a little bit about this project I would like to start using. Let me grab it. I want to do a film photo project based around either my hometown or the places I've lived, all on medium format film, and just kind of create this project not video oriented, and allow myself to slow down and take photos with just this super ginormous camera that takes beautiful photos. I have about 4 or 5 rolls of medium format film, all different types of film kind of prepped and ready to go, but I just have to actually sit down and plan the shoots and get the film developed, and just start to make the project. Really, that's really where it lies, is I just have to make the project. But at the end of this video, after the whole shenanigans for tomorrow, I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about where I'm going photographically, and this documentary project that I've been kind of thinking about starting, because I think it would be a lot of fun. I also want to announce a name of something, and yeah, I think it's going to be cool. But I really need to pack up all this gear. I need to get batteries charged, make sure all my SD cards are ready, because I need like 4 or 5 SD cards that are clean and good to go. And yeah, I gotta stop like saying like see you later in these videos. It like makes no sense why I would say see you later whenever the video just continues, but I don't care. Whatever. So recently I have been extremely busy, whether that be with work or external client projects, or just me wanting to start something new. And I want to pour my all into these videos and other projects, and I've been finding myself giving my time to everybody else except for me. And while I've been having a blast doing things like I did today, going out and shooting video for an event and creating content for other brands and other people, there is a part of me that just wants to be able to take a step back and look at the brands and things that I want to make and figure out where I really fit into the grand scheme of things, because currently I feel as though I'm unsure where I'm going or what I really want to be working on. So while I normally promise these like big ginormous end things, like I said, I wanted to announce a name today, and I wanted to tell you about a new project, and I wanted to tell you about documentaries and all of this stuff, I don't think I'm going to be able to accomplish that task. I don't even think I can turn the camera on and actually record it myself. So you are just going to be watching B-roll from the kids marathon that I took today. So thank you guys so much for all your support and love on these videos. And sorry to end on kind of a somber note, but next weekend, Carly and I are off to Cleveland, and I'm super excited to share that vlog with you. It's going to be just a fun-filled weekend of Carly and I going and doing activities and hanging out and recording each other and being goofy and fun and silly. And then once we get back from that, who knows what will happen next. But with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.